This episode of Penn Point starts right now. This episode of Penn Point is brought to you by GoDaddy. I want to talk a little bit about, I went to see Steve Martin and the Steep Canyon Rangers. I went to saw him at the Mirage. He did a show here in Las Vegas. And I remember seeing Steve Martin for the first time. He'd been on TV. And I'd seen him on Saturday Night Live and thought, okay, well, he's a big star. That's cool. And I thought he was one of these TV guys. And Teller and I went to see him at the Latin Casino, which was like near Philly. It was, like a dinner club, this really old-fashioned place. We went to see Steve Martin, and we went, this was, like in the 70s. We went with a real chip on our shoulders, or I guess a chip on each of our shoulders, because he was like this TV fuck, and we were like in the trenches doing shows. And he was just a TV guy. And when we got into the theater and Steve started to do his show, he destroyed us. He was not just a TV guy, he was a live performer. Now, I'm not saying that doing TV is not hard and it's not wonderful to do comedy, but being great on TV doesn't necessarily mean you're great live, and vice versa. Steve Martin was great on TV, we didn't know how he'd be live, and just because we were ignorant. And we went and saw him at the Latin Casino, and it turned out he was mostly a live performer, and he destroyed us. It was a tight, smart, perfect set. And Teller and I were destroyed, killed, dead. We were made to eat our words about him being just a TV guy. He was a live performer and one of the finest I've ever seen, and one of the finest stand-up shows I've ever seen. And then, for reasons that are explained in Born Standing Up very well, he moved out of doing live performance and moved into movies and has had a wonderful career. And since then also, I think Friends might be a little self-aggrandizing, but I've been over Steve Martin's house and we've spent time together, probably talked for a few hours, several hours, and I would certainly like to consider him my friend, but he's Steve Martin, and he's a big superstar, and he certainly knows who I am, and he's always been very kind to me. We've had dinner over his house. I'd love to see him as a friend, but I don't want to be presumptuous. And I always knew he played banjo, and I listened to his banjo records, and I knew that he loved banjo. And then he came here to Vegas, to the Mirage, and he did his Bluegrass show of banjo. And he brought in these Steep Canyon Rangers, bass player, fiddle player, another banjo player, mandolin player. Yeah, I think a guitar player, of course, guitar player, singer. Just lined up, and Steve Martin did another show that fucking destroyed me and killed me dead and taught me something very important about show business, which is very simply, do what you love. Passion and sincerity really, really matter. There is nobody, not one agent, not one manager, not one booker who wants Steve Martin to be doing a bluegrass show. That's not where the money is. If Steve Martin wants to make money touring, he should not be doing bluegrass. And that's what's so beautiful about this show. He is doing this show, he is on stage for the reason everybody should be on stage, because he loves it. And Steve Martin's love of bluegrass and the way that show went has to be one of the least cynical shows I've ever seen. Steve Martin does jokes between songs, and the jokes are really funny and delivered perfectly because he's a pro. And I'm hard-pressed to think of someone who's better on stage delivering jokes than Steve Martin. He is loving, sincere, direct. He is fabulous. And then he plays bluegrass music that is wonderful and from the heart. And I think about all these shows I've seen, especially in Vegas, where people are trying to give the audience what they want, and it ends up being condescending and cynical, and we'll do this little piece of bullshit here because the crowd will love it, and all this talk that showbiz people give of this works, and this sells, and this works, and this kills them, and we'll do this, and this will sell, and this will be this. And everyone who has said anything like that should go see Steve Martin's Bluegrass show and just feel deep and utter shame. Because when someone walks on stage with skill and with chops and with sincerity in their hearts and presents something that they sincerely love, man, that is what art is all about. And I can't say enough good about the Steep Canyon Rangers. They're all monsters. I love the fact that Steve Martin does that wonderful atheist song in the middle of it and sets it up with a gospel tune. Every one of the Steve, I don't know bluegrass that well. I mean, I'm a huge John Hartford fan, and I probably got 25 bluegrass records, but I don't really know them well. I don't really know the form. I can't play bluegrass, so I don't know much about it. But I learned a lot that night at the Steve Martin show. I enjoyed all of it, and it's just an inspiration. If you're in show business, please do whatever you love, even if it's fiddle and banjo crap. Steve, man, the show was great. Just so fucking great. Get reliable, secure web hosting without the long-term contract. GoDaddy's hosting plans are bigger and better than ever with 99.99% uptime, free 24/7 supports, and no annual commitment. And remember, you can download GoDaddy's free iPhone, Android, or BlackBerry app to order right from your phone, manage your current domains, and more. Check out revision3.com/GoDaddy for a list of all the amazing GoDaddy deals from Revision 3. Use the code PEN3 for $7.99.com domains. Woo, what a deal.